another test. Yeah, okay. Hello guys, and welcome to basically a new video of mine, what basically should go about how to start competitive in the DBD community. The thing is, it's a really hard thing to do, so to explain it, it's regarding everything, what you're gonna chase, what you're gonna look into it. So before I basically lose myself into my words, because I'm not a native speak English person and a little bit excited to do this video after a really long time, I'm just gonna help beginners who try to go into comp, what they can do, what is the perfect thing to start for, what do you think you should do. Most likely the first thing you have to know that most of the teams and everything, because the game is like 8-9 years old, have already a lot of experienced player base. So as a new player in DBD, it's really hard to basically get into it. So if you have low hours, under at least, if you have under 1,000 hours or at least, or under 2,000 hours, you basically have no chance of getting a team, because they most likely search for hours. So most likely the best thing you can do is do the basics first, try to get to like 2,000 hours, and try to get like the mechanics, watching a lot of competitive videos like in DBD League, and see where you can improve. Because if you want to go into competitive and you really have no one, because I'm doing this like a whole view from when you're alone, you have no connections, you have no one. It's like you start as a beginner, what you have to do in the worst case scenario. So like if you have nobody who can promote you or basically give you the chance to play in a team. Because most of the teams give you a tryout, you go there, and if you're not performing how they expect you to, you get kicked out pretty easy. Also, you have to be thinking about, if you go into the competitive scene, if this is really something for you, because most of the time people go into the competitive thing in DBD and just drop it or don't take it serious. It's like, of course, there's real life in itself too. This is most likely respected. But if you're there, you have to know, okay, I need to at least take some time, 2 hours a day or every second day, 2 hours a day, where you can basically take time for practicing, being there for scrims or basically practice. But that's also only if you get into a team. But this is all what you have to be in mind. You have to be motivated. You have to fall down a lot and get up, because DBD is a lot of fall down, bad rounds, having bad mood as well sometimes when the rounds doesn't go well. But you have to be motivated. It's the first step. Be motivated, be prepared for a hard session, be prepared to get completely destroyed in literally every match. And that's for months, because DBD, not like other games, it's very important to gain experience. So this is why most likely after 2,000 hours, people are not even that good in DBD and still have to learn, but they have some experience because they played like 2,000 hours. Now how a lot of killers play, for example, mind games, etc. And now we're gonna go for the first steps. Like I said, step number 1, you basically start to gain some experience yourself. You watch some videos, you basically look into some nice videos, contents from Hans, for example. He's most likely in this competitive scene. Then you basically can look about a lot of things in the DBD League, what is also the biggest platform where you can watch a lot of competitive DBD. Basically watch people play, your favorite killers or survivors, depends on what you want to be. Now for survivors, it's pretty easy to get into a team. That's the only thing. If you're like playing a survivor, you just practice 2,000 hours, you become really good. You basically watch a lot of competitive videos, then you try to get good results in public matches as well. That's the first thing you have to do before you basically go for a tryout. And then you see, okay, my performance is really nice, I can go in I have like 2000 hours now. Then you search for a team, and you most likely will get a team who will take you, and they will really do something for you if you play survival, because survival is most likely easier to be taken than killer. So this now, because this is where I start with survival first, because survival is basically the first thing where basically every team is searching for. As a survivor, you also need to know the clock callouts on the, basically important maps, but it's not really bad, and it's not really, how can I say, hard, because you can go to handstandards.com. I'm gonna link it down into the description of my video on YouTube too, to give, of course, credit to this site. Of course, that you guys can find it, where you can literally see his all maps, basically with callouts, what he hence made for people who really want to go into comp and everything. So basically, everyone can go to this ML online site and learn something. The next step, now as survivor, we go to comp to killer later. You basically try a tryout, because after all this, you have 2000 hours, you go for a tryout, you try to get yourself into it. If you perform well and they see you have potential after you basically watch a lot of videos, you know the callouts. Basically, if you know the callouts, you know what free gen setup is important for, like the in-game mechanics of comp, you're basically in. So this is like basically in. Then the next step, the third step for survival, would just be the motivational part. And you just have to be there, falling down a lot, get used to your team, having some nice coordination, because this doesn't come alone. Because in a team setting, you can be the best 1v1 champion, but in a 4 versus 1 scenario, you have to be really safe with your resources. You have to sometimes even go down in certain places and not cross, even if you could loop the killer for like 5 gens, because in comp it's important where you go down, what pallets you use. It's not like your grid pallet is most likely to play safe, but also not, how can I say, run around the whole map and bring the killer to the important gens who need to be finished to, like, how can I say, make the end game easier for the servers, instead of having a free gen setup where the killer can easily defend it and get a better result. These are the 3 steps for survivors. It's, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do, because in comp, if you play survivor, you mostly ever will get taken. Now we're gonna go for the most interesting part, but basically I think a lot of people will do, and what is really hard to get into and also get practice, it's basically killer. The first step for killer is basically the same thing. We look a lot of competitive videos for the league, or you watch some hands videos where you see comparisons from some killers. It doesn't matter. You basically watch the matches in this point from the killers you main, and see how professional players like Sino, Zaka, or Babazar, or someone else, or Nightlight, how they play the killers, and learn from them to see, okay, how is their mindset, what can I do better with my killer, and etc. Then you play the same thing with survivor, a lot of public rounds to get into it and to get a lot of experience. So the thing is, you just do a lot of online rounds till you get the same result, like 2000 hours, I think. Then you basically start searching for a team, and now this is gonna be the most hardest thing, because killer has to basically make miracles happen in tourneys. Because different than survivors can basically, it's the stronger part, and you have a team-based play style, and it is not as hard, and is forgiving sometimes to do some mistakes, also in scrims and everything. The same with Killer 2 at the beginning, but in tournaments also some failures can be come back to from survivor. But for killer, if you do some mistakes, it's basically to lose around or basically even a kill, because losers with killer are more far, failures with killer are more fatal than survivor fatals, because in most occasions, if you have a really good survivor team, and some mistakes can happen on both sides, because there are 4 people, they can basically make some strategy happen, like top teams of Elysium and Eternal, and they're still gonna destroy you if you play killer, like not as good as you think. The thing is, killer is a really hard thing to do, and in the comp setting, what I found out is that you require to play a lot of killers. So it's not like you can go in with Nurse or only Blight. You have to pick at least 4 killers who you are familiar with and become really good with them, what is a really hard thing also in online matches. So I recommend you pick one of the killers you really like and you really want to master, then you master them for 2000 hours, because you will need it, because you cannot master all 4 killers in like 2000 hours. You play these other killers just for fun, not like you pick them because you like to play them and you think you would be good if you practice them a little bit more. So not like you go into it, but the one you like the most, you're gonna put the most hours into it. And if you start practicing, you say them that you would play 4 killers, but that you basically have like 2000 hours or less. If they give you like the minimum amount you have to require to basically really search for competitive matches, like 1000 hours, and even that, it's really hard to get taken. It's really hard, because there are some people like Pedro or something who had like 50 or 100 hours got taken, and they got basically built up to a monster. But this is when you have good friends and people who can link you up with the right people, and they see your potential, of course. But if you don't have this luxury, this is why I do this video for beginners who have no one to go to, people who are loners, people who say, okay, I have friends, but they have no connections to DBD League or to any of these good players. You need to go to the steps, like to do 2000 hours. My personal favorite, you can do like 1000 hours minimum, or 1500 hours if you're gonna go for the middle for both sides, survivor and killer. And then you basically, for killer, you just try to push the part where you play a lot of, okay, the killer you really want to be good with. And you most likely, if possible, and if you like it, take a killer who mostly is searched in the DBD community. And if you're lucky and you have like Oni or something, you will ever get taken, because important killers in comp are the one thing, or killers who are not as picked, you have bigger chances to get in. So if you, for example, you have like Dredge, I think. Dredge is not a really big picked killer. It's not really much often picked because it's not that weak. Maybe after the buff what comes out, but it doesn't matter. Dredges are not really much picked killer, and people don't play him really often. Basically, you have a bigger chance to get a no-name killer in when people say, okay, he's a unique with this killer, he's really good, he's also not really popular, nobody plays it so much, so it's a unique later. You have a unique killer, or you play a killer who everyone plays in comp, and you're really good with it, where you also get a lot of practice out of. So basically thing is, you pick like 4 killers who you're really, how can I say, familiar with, or you really think you're gonna be really good, and then perfect one. Second step is, after you really got into all of this and tried everything out, you basically try to search for a team. The thing is, what I forgot to say to Survivor, there is a server called DBD Scrims where you can play as killer against survivor, competitive survivor teams, and as survivor, if they're searching one, to play a competitive match. The thing is, if you play survivor, you get a 4 versus 1 scrim much easier, because if you write down you're searching something and you play against everything, they take you most likely, and you have the chance, if a good team picks you, for some example, and see randomly how you play in 4 versus 1, that they can take you. But this private tip from me, you can also, I'm also gonna link down the Discord link from DBD Scrims, what is basically the most important link, because there you can find your teams, there you can get scrims, and you can get to know a lot of important persons, override them, and get knowledge from Xeno, Saka, and everyone else, because they're all top teams in the server. And I recommend writing Laser or something, because he's a really nice guy. He writes really much back. He wrote me a lot of too, but you know, I would not spam him. So if you have small questions, you can really ask Xeno, Saka, or basically Laser. And Laser, in my opinion, also responded really quickly to me, but is really G in my opinion. So if you're interested, you can write Saka, Xeno, or Laser, and they can also give you some tips, because they're more experienced and better in the game than me. And yeah, the last thing you have to remember, basically this is only for killer players. If you play in DBD Scrims, you will certainly find out that it is really difficult to get a scrim as a no-name killer. So if you have like 2000 hours and you see, okay, I wanna practice against elite teams and see if I have the power to come into a team. And that's the problem, because this is in DBD Scrims, getting scrims as killer is so hard, because there's so many people who write down they want to play killer, and there's so small amount of survivor teams, because you need to find 4 people who are willingly to play as a team, that you literally have no chance. And if they're like people like Xeno or Saka searching in the queue, you already know they will get picked first, because they are literally better than you, and you have a lot of people you have to compete with as a killer, because there are a lot of crazy killers on this server. And if you are really new and they don't know you and you have no name, you literally will never ever get a scrim. And this is where I can give my tip, where I got at least some scrims sometimes faster than before, is you write people who already found scrims in a really polite way and ask them, hey guys, I saw that you already found someone, if possible, could you write me back if you still search for another? Because sometimes one killer is not as good, or the people see, okay, he has to go, or any other reason, then he hops off. And if they see your message, what not many people do, they basically give it a recommendation, and yeah, basically write you back sometimes and say, hey, the place is free, if you want, you can play against us. What happened to me a few times, better than nothing. So like, it happened one time every like 3 times in a month. I really got a scrim with this method, or sometimes in a week. You have to be really active, and you have to sacrifice at least 1 hour of really literally writing people to get this done. And you get like 3 scrims in a month with this. What is also not much, but at least you get the first experience of a scrim, because otherwise you will never get any scrim. So this is the thing where, as a killer, it's more important to do tryouts, because the tryouts you get faster, probably they take you or they don't take you, and most likely you even get more practice out of a tryout, bro, than you're basically searching for a scrim. Because this is like fucking, I do this for so much time, because I started this game 2000, basically August 2015 with the alpha, and then of course 2016 when it came out, till now I'm playing and comp like since 2020, but not that, how can I say, really active. It's more like I was in a lot of teams. I played some tourneys, not important ones, and I was basically playing, having some teams of myself, leading them too, but also no tourneys, because most of the time the team went away, had no motivation, etc, etc. So the biggest thing is, as a killer, if you search for teams or anything else, maybe the scrims is your thing. It's really hard. This is what I'm gonna say. So the only thing you can do is to play public rounds, because you will consistently get public rounds. It's not gonna be like in comp, but you have to do the best what you can do. Maybe play with some comp builds, because in the BD League you have your killer most likely with the rules, and you play like these rules. Don't take the matches too serious, because survivors have no restrictions, and normally you also have no restrictions. And try things out, try to play competitive, try to be something, because otherwise as a killer you have no chance of improving your skill, because you will never get a team willingly to play against you if you're not a known man. That's the sad truth of a killer man in DBD. So basically these are the tips. I'm gonna 100% link something down so that you can look into it, see how it works for you. I hope that this could help you guys and give you some, some nice understanding in the competitive way of DBD, because as for killer mains, it's really hard if you're a survivor. It's really pretty easy, because most survivors also think, oh, maybe I don't get taken. Don't worry, play 2000 hours, play a lot of public matches, go into DBD scrims, write down. There are some people searching for some players if they're missing out one survivor or something. What happens quite a lot. Then you just write in, I would good hope in. Then you say, I know the callouts, everything, where you can basically learn it from hands. Where I'm gonna also link the site where you can look at it, and it's pretty easy. But as killer, because I'm a killer man myself, it's really hard to get into scrims, and it's really hard to train. So the thing is, the only thing you can do as a killer is hoping and begging people. It's like this. You have to beg people, write them and say, hey guys, can I get a chance? Can I get a chance? Can I get a chance? If they already found someone, you just say, hey guys, I see you already found someone. Is there a way I can, play against you guys with this and this killer? I would be delighted. And I hope you write me back if you have a place left or something like this. This is the best thing you can do with a killer. And even then you get, like, in my opinion, like 3 or 4 rounds in a month, not more, because it's so hard to get a scrim. And this is not consistently helping you. So you need to get into a team, and most likely a team who has a lot of connections. And with the connections and with the people, they can recommend you to other players, other teams, and then you basically get a lot of scrims and a lot of practice. For that to happen, you have to be really good, or basically the team has to be really chill, giving you a lot of time to practice. They see your potential, that you can get better, and yeah. Then that being said, I wish you guys a really nice day or night. Depends on what timeline you basically watching this video, or even watch this video. I basically streamed this right now because it's much easier to upload it on YouTube then basically make a whole video out of it. I know my mic quality is not the best, but I hope the point of being here, that I give people some tips from the way if they want to play DBD in competitive way. And that being said, I wish you all again a really nice day, and yeah, and much, how can I say, much luck. See ya guys in the fork.